Fleet Admiral Jiwoo Bei stood on the bridge of humanity's newest flagship, the Sovereign. It was the first vessel designed entirely after the invasion, incorporating everything humans had learned from defeating 12 alien empires. Around her ship, a fleet of 500 vessels waited in perfect formation. They were no longer just defending Earth. They were projecting power across the galaxy. "All ships report ready," her second officer announced. "Courses laid in for the Krell territories. Travel time, 3 weeks at maximum speed." "Then let's go introduce ourselves," Jiwoo said calmly. "The Krell have been raiding human-protected worlds." Time to teach them that was a mistake. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, using technology that combined human innovation with alien knowledge. They moved through space in ways that shouldn't have been possible, covering distances in weeks that would have taken the invading fleets months. Humanity had learned quickly. On Earth, the formal surrender ceremony was beginning. President Dongmin Choi stood before representatives of every nation, every culture, every group on the planet. Behind him, arranged in careful order, knelt the leaders of the 12 alien empires that had tried to enslave humanity. The Drathek Emperor was first, his massive form hunched in submission. Beside him knelt the Vox Collective's primary node, its blue armor dulled and damaged. 10 other alien leaders formed a line of the defeated, each one forced to acknowledge humanity's supremacy before the entire galaxy. "Today marks a turning point in galactic history," Dongmin announced. His words broadcast not just across Earth but through the communication networks of hundreds of alien civilizations. These beings came to Earth thinking us weak. They believed we would surrender without a fight. They thought humans were nothing more than primitive creatures to be enslaved. He walked slowly past the kneeling aliens, letting the camera capture each one. They were wrong. Humanity will never be slaves. We will never bow to those who seek to oppress us. Instead, it is our oppressors who bow. It is our would-be masters who kneel. Envoy Hyejin Lim watched from the Galactic Council Station, humanity's first representative to the assembly of alien civilizations. The council chamber was enormous, designed to accommodate hundreds of different species. When she entered, every conversation stopped. Every alien representative turned to stare. "I am Hyejin Lim," she announced clearly, "envoy of Earth and humanity. We come to this council not as supplicants, but as equals. We come not seeking approval, but demanding respect. The age when humans could be ignored is over. The age when Earth could be threatened is ended. We are here, we are powerful, and we will be heard." The alien representatives looked at each other nervously. Some had been part of councils that discussed invading Earth. Others had simply assumed humanity would eventually be absorbed into some empire's territory. None had expected humans to appear before the Galactic Council as conquering heroes. "The Council recognizes Earth," the chairman said reluctantly. The chairman was a spider-like being called a Quellan, representing one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. "Though we question the methods by which you achieved your current status." "You question our methods?" Hyejin replied, her voice sharp. 12 empires invaded our world without provocation. They bombed our cities. They attempted to enslave our population. They declared they would kill anyone who resisted. "And you question our methods of defense?" Silence fell across the chamber. "Earth did not start this war," Hyejin continued, "but we will end it on our terms. Any civilization that threatens humanity will face the same fate as those who invaded us. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Test us at your peril." Back on Earth, Mirai led a team of scientists through an alien archive that had been surrendered as part of the peace terms.
Inside were millions of files detailing the history of galactic civilization.
Star charts, species profiles, technology databases, diplomatic records, everything humanity needed to understand the galaxy they were now part of. "This is incredible," one researcher said, scrolling through historical records. "Some of these civilizations are over 50,000 years old. They've been traveling between stars since before humans invented agriculture. And yet we defeated them in weeks," Mirai replied. "Age doesn't guarantee wisdom. Experience doesn't guarantee victory. They underestimated us, and it cost them everything." She pulled up a specific file that had caught her attention. "Look at this. The Galactic Council has rules about first contact, strict protocols. Younger species are supposed to be slowly integrated into galactic society over centuries. They're supposed to be guided, educated, carefully brought into the fold. Let me guess," another scientist said. "The 12 empires ignored those rules when it came to Earth." "Completely," Mirai confirmed. They saw a resource they wanted and decided to take it. The council knew about it and did nothing. They were content to let us be enslaved as long as it wasn't their problem. She closed the file. Now it is their problem. Now they have to deal with the humanity that learned about the galaxy the hard way. Admiral Soo-hyun Kang reviewed reports from the new defense perimeter. Human forces now controlled space stations throughout the solar system and beyond, outposts in nearby star systems, sensor networks that could detect any approaching fleet weeks before they arrived. Earth was no longer just defended, it was fortified. "We're establishing contact with independent species," she reported during the daily strategy meeting. "Civilizations that aren't part of major empires. They're interested in alliance with Earth. They see us as potential protection against larger powers." "Approved," Ji-hoon replied. He was no longer just a commander. President Dongmin had appointed him as Earth's first Minister of Galactic Defense, overseeing all human military operations beyond the solar system. "But make sure every alliance favors our interests. We're not running a charity. We're building an empire." The word hung in the air. Empire. It was what they had fought against, what they had refused to become part of. But now, having seen how the galaxy really worked, humanity understood that there were only two choices: be the empire or be enslaved by one. Captain Daeho Kim was leading the effort to reverse engineer and improve captured alien technology. His facility had grown to employ thousands of engineers and scientists, all working to give humanity every possible advantage. "The aliens had faster-than-light communication," he explained during a presentation, "but it was slow, limited by their technology. We've improved it. Human modifications mean our ships can communicate across the galaxy in real time. No other civilization can do that. It gives us a coordination advantage they can't match." "And the weapons?" Ji-hoon asked. "Beyond anything the aliens had," Daeho replied with satisfaction. "We've created weapons that exploit weaknesses in every major species' defenses. We've made shields that their weapons can't penetrate. We've designed ships that are faster, tougher, and more powerful than anything in their fleets. In a straight fight, humanity could now defeat any single empire in the galaxy." Taejin Yoon's equalizer technology had evolved beyond simply disrupting alien systems. The new versions could infiltrate any network, control any computer, hack any system. Human cyber warfare capabilities had become the most advanced in the galaxy. "We can shut down entire fleets without firing a shot," Taejin demonstrated, showing simulations of equalizers turning alien warships into useless hulks. "We can infiltrate their communications, read their messages, know their plans before they execute them. In terms of information warfare, no one can compete with us." Colonel Byung-ho Shin was training a new generation of soldiers in tactics designed for galactic warfare. His recruits learned to fight in zero gravity, in thin atmospheres and extreme temperatures. They studied alien biology to know exactly where to shoot each species for maximum effect. They practiced with weapons that could kill creatures humans had never imagined just months ago. "The galaxy is full of species that have been fighting for millennia," Byung-ho told his trainees. "They have experience we don't have. But they fight the same way they always have. They follow the same tactics. They make the same moves. We don't. We innovate. We adapt. We surprise them. That's how we win." 1 year after the invasion, Fleet Admiral Ji-woo's expedition reached the Krell territories. The Krell had been raiding worlds under human protection, thinking Earth's forces were too far away to respond. They were wrong. Krell vessels detected, sensors reported. Multiple warships heavily armed. "They're forming battle lines." "Let them form," Ji-woo replied. "Let them think they have a chance. Then show them the truth." The battle was over in hours. Human ships tore through Krell defenses like they weren't there. Krell tactics refined over centuries were useless against human unpredictability. Their weapons couldn't penetrate human shields. Their shields couldn't stop human weapons. When the Krell commander finally signaled surrender, half his fleet was destroyed. "This is Fleet Admiral Bay to the Krell sovereignty," Ji-woo broadcast. "You raided worlds under Earth's protection. You killed humans and our allies. This was a mistake. You will cease all military operations immediately. You will pay reparations. You will submit to human oversight. Refuse and we will return with our full fleet and teach you the same lesson we taught the 12 empires who tried to invade Earth." Ambassador Sujin Kwan stood in what had been the Drathek Empire's regional command center. Now it served as Earth's diplomatic headquarters for processing alien surrenders. 3 of the 12 invading species had already signed formal surrender agreements. Their representatives sat before her, beings that had commanded fleets and armies, now reduced to negotiating the terms of their survival. Your species will submit to complete technological oversight, Sujin read from the treaty. All military vessels will be decommissioned. All weapons research will cease. Your governments will provide full documentation of all contact with other alien species, all trade agreements, all military alliances. You will pay reparations to Earth in the form of technology, resources, and knowledge. Do you agree to these terms? The 3 alien ambassadors looked at each other, their various forms of communication unintelligible without translators. Finally, they agreed. They had no choice. Their fleets were destroyed. Their soldiers were prisoners. Their empires were broken. Excellent, Sujin said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Welcome to the new galactic order, where Earth makes the rules. General Minsuk Ro's fleet arrived from Mars 3 days later. The aliens who were still resisting received a nasty shock. They had known about the Mars colonies, had seen them on their scans, had dismissed them as small scientific outposts. They hadn't realized that every Mars colony for the past 50 years had secretly been a military installation. Mars Control to Earth Command, Minsuk reported, his voice carrying the satisfaction of revealing a long-held secret. The Mars Defense Fleet is now in Earth orbit. 300 combat vessels fully armed and operational. We've been building them in underground facilities for decades. The aliens never had a clue. Ji-hoon allowed himself a rare smile. Welcome home, General. Your timing is perfect. The 9 remaining alien species have formed a desperate alliance. They're trying to regroup beyond Jupiter. They think they can still win this war. They're wrong, Minsuk replied flatly. Where do you want us? Ganymede. Join Admiral Kang's fleet. We're going to crush the alien alliance once and for all. Scientist Ara Song made the discovery that changed everything. She had been studying captured alien biology for weeks, trying to understand why 12 different species had all targeted Earth simultaneously. The answer was in their cellular structure. They're all dependent on element 174, Ara explained to the assembled command staff. It's a super heavy element that doesn't exist naturally anywhere in the known galaxy. Except Earth. Our planet has massive deposits of it in the mantle. These aliens need it for everything, their technology, their medicine, even their food production. Mirai leaned forward, understanding dawning. That's why they came. Not just for slaves or territory. Earth is the only source of an element their entire civilizations require. Exactly, Ara confirmed. Without element 174, their technology fails within years. Their population gets sick. Their economies collapse. They weren't just invading for conquest. They were invading for survival. That changes things, Ji-hoon said thoughtfully. It means they'll keep coming. No matter how many fleets we destroy, they'll keep trying to take Earth because they have no choice. Unless we control the supply, Daeho suggested. If we're the only source of element 174, then we control every species that depends on it. We can dictate terms. We can make demands. We become the most powerful force in the galaxy, not through military might alone, but through economic control. Yoonji nodded slowly. We offer them element 174 in exchange for peace, but on our terms, under our rules. They get what they need to survive and we get security. It's leverage. It's more than leverage, Ji-hoon replied. It's the foundation of a new galactic order. The 9 remaining alien species made their last stand at Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. They had fortified every approach, positioned their remaining ships in overlapping defensive formations, and prepared for humanity's assault. Their commanders believed they could hold long enough for reinforcements to arrive from their home worlds. They were wrong. Daeho led the assault personally. His ship, the Retribution, spearheaded a fleet of 400 human vessels. Behind him came Minseok's Mars fleet, Suhyun's Deep Space Fleet, and dozens of newly constructed ships from Earth's rapidly expanding military industry. All ships, this is Captain Kim, Daeho broadcast. The enemy believes they can hold Europa. They believe this will be a long siege. We're going to show them how wrong they are. Attack wings deploy equalizers. Bombardment groups target their defensive platforms. Ground forces prepare for landing operations. We end this today. The battle was brutal and efficient. Tejin's latest equalizers tore through alien defenses like paper. Jisoo's fighter wings hunted down enemy ships with predatory precision. Byung-ho's ground forces landed on Europa's surface and stormed alien fortifications with overwhelming force. The aliens fought desperately. They knew this was their last chance. But desperation couldn't overcome the simple fact that humanity had become better at war than species that had been fighting for millennia. Human tactics were more innovative. Human technology was more effective. Human soldiers were more determined. When the Drathek Emperor's flagship tried to escape, Suyun's forces were waiting. They disabled the ship with surgical precision, captured it intact, and took the Emperor himself prisoner. The symbolic defeat was total. "This is Admiral Kang to all remaining alien forces," Soo-hyun broadcast across all channels. "Your Emperor is captured. Your fleets are destroyed. Your alliance is broken. Surrender now or die." The alien resistance collapsed within hours. Commanders surrendered. Soldiers laid down their weapons. Ships powered down and accepted boarding parties. The invasion was over. Humanity had won completely. Back on Earth, the captured alien leaders were brought together for the first time since the invasion began. Emperors, warlords, collective consciousness nodes, hive queens. All the rulers of the 12 invading species gathered in a facility deep beneath Geneva. They were kept in separate sections, denied communication with each other, isolated and defeated. Ji-hoon walked past their cells slowly, letting each one see him, letting them understand their situation. "You came to Earth with 12 fleets," he said, his voice carrying through the facility. "You brought thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, weapons that could destroy cities. You thought you were unstoppable. You thought we were helpless." He stopped at the Drathek Emperor's cell. The massive creature sat hunched, its armor removed, its pride shattered. "You called us property. You said we would serve or die. Do you remember?" The Emperor's translator produced a weak affirmative. "Now you will serve," Ji-hoon continued. "Your empires will provide Earth with full access to your technology, your knowledge, your resources. You will teach us about the galaxy, about the other species, about the threats we need to understand. You will help us become strong enough that no one will ever threaten Earth again. And if we refuse," the Emperor managed. Ji-hoon's smile was cold. "Then we stop supplying Element 174 to your empire. We watch as your technology fails. We watch as your people sicken. We watch as your civilization collapses. We won't need to destroy you. You'll destroy yourselves." The threat hung in the air. Every alien leader heard it. Everyone understood. "But it doesn't have to be that way," Ji-hoon added. "Cooperate and we'll supply you with Element 174. Enough to keep your civilization stable. Enough to maintain your way of life. Not as much as you want, perhaps, but enough. We're not monsters. We don't seek your destruction. We seek your compliance." Sujin took over then, reading the terms that would govern humanity's relationship with the defeated empires. Full disarmament, technology sharing, trade agreements heavily favoring Earth, regular inspections. The terms were harsh but not impossible. They were designed to ensure Earth's security while keeping the alien civilizations functional enough to be useful. "You have 48 hours to decide," Sujin concluded. "Accept these terms or face the consequences." One by one, the alien leaders agreed. They signed treaties written in human languages, agreeing to terms set by human diplomats, accepting a future where Earth was the dominant power. The galaxy's balance had shifted. Yuna watched the psychological impact spread through the alien populations. News of the defeats reached their homeworlds. Images of their mighty leaders in human custody circulated. The message was clear. Humanity was not to be threatened. "We're receiving diplomatic inquiries from 73 different alien civilizations," she reported. "Species that weren't involved in the invasion. They're all requesting peaceful contact. They all want to establish trade relationships. They're all afraid we'll come for them next." "Good," Yoonji replied. "Fear keeps people honest. We'll accept their diplomatic overtures, but on our terms. Every agreement will favor Earth. Every trade deal will benefit humanity. We're not trying to be fair. We're trying to be safe." Minsok's forces finished establishing human military outposts throughout the solar system. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune all had permanent human installations now. The Kuiper Belt shipyards were expanded. The Mars colonies shifted fully to military production. Earth's solar system was becoming a fortress. "How many ships do we have now?" Ji-hoon asked. Colonel Byung-ho Shin moved through the wreckage of the Vox Collective Command Center with practiced efficiency. His team had taken the facility in under an hour. fighting through aliens who still couldn't believe humans were capable of such coordinated assault tactics. Now he stood over a Vox commander, the blue-armored creature bleeding from wounds no Earth weapon should have been able to inflict. "Your shields were supposed to be impenetrable," Byung-ho said calmly. "Your armor was supposed to resist our weapons. Your technology was supposed to be centuries ahead of ours." He held up a plasma rifle, taken from a defeated Vox soldier. "But we studied you. We learned everything about you, and then we built weapons specifically designed to kill you." The Vox commander made a gurgling sound that the translator rendered as confused terror. Good. Terror was useful. Across Earth, similar scenes played out in dozens of locations. The 5 alien fleets that had retreated were trying to regroup, trying to form a unified command, but human ground forces were systematically destroying every facility they tried to establish. Every landing site became a battlefield. Every attempt to reinforce their positions met with devastating human counterattacks. Dr. Yuna Han watched the psychological warfare campaign unfold from her facility, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. She had spent years studying the captured probe data, learning about alien cultures, finding their weaknesses. Now she was exploiting every single one. "The Drathek value honor above everything," she explained to her team. "They believe they are the galaxy's chosen warriors. So we broadcast footage of them surrendering, of them fleeing, of them failing. We shame them in front of the entire galaxy. The Vox Collective bases their entire society on technological superiority," another specialist added. "So we show them being defeated by primitive human tactics. We make them question everything they believe about themselves." "And the others?" asked Ji-hoon, observing via secure link. "Each species has its own weaknesses," Yuna replied. "Cultural, psychological, biological. We're targeting all of them simultaneously. The aliens aren't just losing militarily. They're losing confidence, losing cohesion, losing their will to fight." In orbit, Lieutenant Jisoo Park guided her fighter through a field of debris that had once been part of the alien fleet. Her ship, designation Valkyrie 07, was built using principles the aliens had thought impossible. It could turn faster, accelerate harder, and move in ways that alien vessels simply couldn't match. "This is Valkyrie 07 to command," she reported, her voice steady despite pulling maneuvers that should have knocked her unconscious. "I have visual on 3 enemy fighters attempting to reach their carrier. Engaging." The alien pilots were skilled, but they had trained for centuries fighting opponents who moved predictably, who followed established patterns. Human pilots had learned to fly in Earth's thick atmosphere, fighting gravity and weather and each other in endless combat simulations. They were creative, aggressive, and completely unpredictable. Jisoo dove beneath the alien formation, rolled inverted, and came up behind them firing. Her weapons, designed by Taejin's team, cut through their shields like they weren't there. 3 explosions. 3 victories. She was already looking for the next target before the debris had finished spreading. "Valkyrie 07, you're cleared to pursue the carrier," Command responded. "Admiral Kang's fleet will provide support." "Negative, Command," Jisoo replied, a smile in her voice. "I won't need it." Valkyrie 07 out, she was right. The carrier's defenses never even touched her. On the command deck of the Indomitable, Admiral Soo-hyun Kang reviewed the tactical situation with satisfaction. 10 days since the initial invasion, 7 alien fleets destroyed or surrendered, 5 remaining, all retreating toward Jupiter. Human casualties were minimal. Alien casualties were catastrophic. "They're trying to form a defensive line at Ganymede," her tactical officer reported. "All 5 remaining fleets are concentrating their forces. They're fortifying the moon, setting up defensive platforms. They know we're coming." "Of course they know," Soo-hyun replied. "We want them to know. We want them concentrated in one place. Easier to destroy them all at once." She pulled up the battle plans. "Captain Kim, your thoughts?" Deho's face appeared on the comm screen. He was aboard his own ship now, leading a strike force of 50 vessels. "They're making the classic mistake of fighting a defensive battle against an enemy they don't understand. They're expecting us to assault their positions directly. They're wrong." "What are you thinking?" Soo-hyun asked. "Ganymede has a thin atmosphere and low gravity," Deho explained. "Perfect conditions for the new weapon systems Taejin has been developing. We can deploy orbital strike platforms that will tear through their defenses before we even engage directly. By the time our ships arrive, their fortifications will be ruins," Engineer Taejin Yoon confirmed from his lab. The Equalizer Mark III is ready for deployment. This version doesn't just disable alien technology. It destroys it from the inside out. Their own power systems will become bombs. Their shields will collapse. Their weapons will overload. All we need is to get within range. Then let's do it, Suyun decided. All fleet elements prepare for final assault on Ganymede. This is where we end the war. Back on Earth, Mirai stood in what had been a Drathek detention facility. Now it held captured alien soldiers and commanders. She walked past cells containing creatures that had thought themselves superior, that had planned to enslave humanity. Now they were prisoners, and their expressions showed something humans had rarely seen in the galaxy: genuine fear. She stopped at the cell holding the Drathek commander who had captured her. He looked up, recognition and shame in his alien eyes. "You called us property," Mirai said quietly. "You said we would work and obey. You said resistance would result in death." She paused. "Would you like to know why you lost?" The commander said nothing, but his translator was still active. He would hear her whether he wanted to or not. "You lost because you saw what you expected to see," Mirai continued. "You saw our old technology and assumed we were primitive. You saw our divided world and assumed we were weak. You saw that we hadn't explored beyond our solar system and assumed we were ignorant of what was out there. You made assumptions based on limited data and arrogance. That is why you lost." She pulled up a holographic display showing the captured probe from 2051. "We found this over a century ago. We could have announced it to the world, caused panic, maybe collapsed our civilization fighting over what it meant. Instead, our leaders made a choice. They decided to prepare in secret, to study in silence, to build our defense where you couldn't see it. Every year you watched us, we were watching you back, learning your languages, understanding your technology, preparing for the day you would come." The Drathek commander finally spoke. "We underestimated you. We will not make that mistake again." "You won't get the chance," Mirai replied coldly. "Your empire sent its best to conquer Earth. We destroyed them. Now we're going to make sure the galaxy knows what happens when someone tries to enslave humanity." Counselor Unji Nam was addressing the United Nations when word came through. The battle for Ganymede had begun. Every screen in the chamber switched to show the feed from the fleet. Tiejin's Equalizer Mark III devices deployed first, small satellites that looked harmless until they activated. Invisible pulses of energy spread across the alien defensive positions. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, catastrophically, everything happened at once. Alien power cores overloaded. Shields collapsed not from damage but from their own systems turning against them. Weapons exploded in their mounts. Ships that had been perfectly functional seconds ago went dark and dead, floating uselessly in space. The entire alien defensive line disappeared in a cascade of system failures. "All ships advance," Suyun commanded. "Target any vessel still showing power signatures. Disable or destroy. Show no mercy to those who showed none to Earth." The human fleet swept forward like a wave. The alien forces tried to respond, tried to fall back to backup positions, but there was nowhere to go. Human ships were faster, more maneuverable, and knew exactly how to counter every alien tactic. Jisoo led her fighter wing through the chaos, hunting down fleeing enemy craft. Byung-ho's ground forces landed on Ganymede itself, storming alien fortifications that had been built to withstand any assault. Daeho's strike force systematically destroyed every alien ship that tried to escape. The battle lasted 14 hours. When it ended, the 5 remaining alien fleets had been obliterated. Thousands of alien soldiers surrendered. The remainder died fighting, unable to accept that they had been so completely defeated. On Earth, people watched in stunned silence as the final enemy vessel exploded. They had gone from facing extinction to complete victory in less than 2 weeks. The aliens who had come to enslave them were destroyed. The empires that had thought humanity weak were broken. Ji-hoon stood before the cameras, addressing not just Earth but the entire galaxy. Every alien species monitoring the situation would hear his words. Every empire considering their own invasion would understand the message. This is Commander Ji-hoon Park of Earth's United Defense Force. To all species watching, Earth is not your prey. We are not helpless. We are not weak. We are not slaves. The invasion began exactly 72 hours after the aliens arrived. Mirai watched from the command bunker as fire rained from the sky. The alien fleets opened up with everything they had, targeting military installations, power plants, communication hubs. Explosions lit up cities across the globe. The defense satellites Earth had shown them were destroyed within minutes. Fighter jets that rose to meet them were swatted from the sky like insects. To anyone watching, it looked like the end of humanity. Casualties? Ji-hoon asked, his voice calm despite the destruction displayed across dozens of screens. Minimal, reported an officer. Most installations were evacuated before the strikes. We're losing buildings and equipment, but very few personnel. The evacuation protocols worked. Counselor Yoon-ji-nam stood beside Ji-hoon, watching the feeds with barely concealed anger. She had been one of the few government officials who knew the truth from the beginning. Now she had to watch her world burn. Trust that the plan would work and somehow keep the civilian population from complete panic. The people are terrified, she said. They think we've already lost. They're flooding into the bunkers, the underground cities. Some are rioting. They want to know why we're not fighting back. We are fighting back, Ji-hoon replied. They just can't see it yet. On the ground, alien forces began landing. Massive transport ships settled over major cities and armored soldiers poured out. They moved with the confidence of conquerors, setting up collection points where humans were ordered to assemble. The Drathek Empire claimed North America. The Vox Collective took Europe. 10 other species divided the rest of Earth among themselves, already fighting over the best territories. Mirai was in Seoul when the Drathek soldiers came for her. She didn't resist. Neither did the hundreds of other prisoners gathered in the city center. This was part of the plan, though that didn't make it less terrifying to stand before creatures twice her size, with weapons that could kill her in an instant. The Drathek commander looked down at the assembled humans with obvious disgust. Through his translator, he spoke. You are property now. You will work. You will obey. Any resistance will result in immediate execution. Do you understand? Mirai watched the commander carefully. His armor was advanced, but she recognized elements of the design from the probe data. His weapons were powerful, but they had limitations. His translator was efficient, but it had a delay. Every detail mattered. Every weakness would be exploited. We understand, she said clearly. Around her, other humans nodded. The Drathek seemed satisfied. He didn't realize he was standing in a room full of soldiers and scientists pretending to be helpless civilians. In orbit, Captain Daeho Kim watched from his hidden command ship as the alien fleet settled into occupation patterns. They had moved most of their forces into close orbit around Earth, positioning themselves to control the planet completely. Their commanders were coordinating the ground invasion, arguing with each other over territory rights, completely focused on Earth itself. They've committed everything, Daeho said with satisfaction. All 12 fleets are in close orbit. They've left no reserves, no fallback positions. They're so confident they've won that they've forgotten basic military strategy. His tactical officer nodded. Admiral Soo-hyun Kang reports the Deep Fleet is in position. All ships are powered up and ready. The aliens still haven't detected them. Because they're not looking, Daeho replied. They think this is over. They're already planning how to divide Earth's resources. Time to teach them a lesson. He opened the secure channel. All ships, this is Captain Kim. Execute Protocol Prometheus. Show them what we really are. Beyond Neptune, in the cold dark of the Kuiper Belt, something massive began to move. For over a century, humanity had been building in secret. Automated factories hidden from alien sensors had been constructing a war fleet using technology reverse-engineered from the captured probe and improved by human innovation. Admiral Soo-hyun Kang stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, surrounded by 200 warships that the aliens didn't know existed. All ships report ready, her second officer announced. Then let's go to war, Soo-hyun said calmly. Full speed to Earth. Attack Formation Delta. Target the Drathek flagship first. Let's make a statement. The fleet burst forward, engines that shouldn't exist propelling them at speeds the aliens thought impossible for human technology. They would reach Earth in hours, not days. The element of surprise was complete. On Earth, the aliens continued their occupation. In Seoul, the Drathek were processing their human prisoners when the first explosion rocked their transport ship. Then another, and another. The humans who had seemed so helpless suddenly produced weapons. Military personnel who had been hiding among civilians revealed themselves. The collection point turned into a battlefield in seconds. Mirai ran as plasma fire lit up the streets around her. This was the signal. The fight back had begun. Behind her, she could hear the Drathek commander shouting in confusion. They hadn't expected resistance. They definitely hadn't expected their own weapons to be used against them. Engineer Taejin Yoon watched from his control center as the first phase of the counterattack succeeded. Hidden weapons platforms across Earth activated simultaneously. Defense systems the aliens thought they destroyed came back online. They had never been destroyed at all, just hidden, powered down, waiting for this moment. The equalizers are working perfectly, Taejin reported with pride. These were his creation, devices that hijacked alien technology, turning their weapons against them, disrupting their shields, causing their systems to malfunction. The aliens are experiencing massive technical failures across all occupied zones. Ji-hoon watched the chaos unfold with grim satisfaction. On every continent, human forces were emerging from hiding. The civilians in the bunkers were safe. The soldiers who had seemed to die in the initial attacks had been evacuated beforehand. The military installations that appeared destroyed had been abandoned. Everything the aliens thought they knew about Earth's defenses had been carefully staged deception. Ground forces are engaging across all zones, an officer reported. The aliens are falling back. They're trying to regroup, but our forces are using their own tactics against them. They're confused, disorganized. They should be, Ji-hoon said. They plan to fight the army we showed them. They have no idea how to fight the army we actually have. In orbit, the alien fleet suddenly detected something impossible. Hundreds of ships appearing on their sensors from beyond the outer planets, moving at speeds that made their own vessels seem slow. The alien commanders tried to respond, tried to organize a defense, but they were still focused on Earth, still trying to understand what was happening on the ground. Admiral Soo-hyun's fleet hit them like a hammer. The Drathek flagship was the first target. 20 human warships focused fire on its shields, technology designed to overload and penetrate the exact defensive systems the aliens used. The shields collapsed in seconds. The flagship, supposedly indestructible, broke apart under sustained fire. The other alien fleets panicked. They tried to form defensive formations, tried to return fire, but they were caught between the human fleet in space and the ground forces below. Their communications were jammed by technology they couldn't counter. Their weapons were hacked by systems that understood their own code better than they did. This is Admiral Kang to all alien vessels. Soo-hyun broadcast on all channels. You came to Earth thinking us weak, thinking us primitive, thinking we would simply surrender. You were wrong. Surrender now, or share the fate of the Drathek flagship. On the ground, Mireille reached a safe zone and finally allowed herself to smile. Around her, Drathek soldiers were surrendering to human forces, their weapons disabled, their armor useless against the equalizers. The commander who had called them property was on his knees, hands behind his head, fear finally replacing his earlier contempt. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 2 of the 12 alien fleets had been destroyed completely. 5 more had surrendered. The remaining 5 retreated to the outer solar system, regrouping, trying to understand what had happened. Ji-hoon addressed the planet on every channel. People of Earth, the aliens came to enslave us. They thought we were weak. They were wrong. We have been preparing for this for a century. We have built a military that rivals any in the galaxy. We have weapons they cannot counter and tactics they cannot predict. The invasion is not over, but the battle for Earth is won. Now we show them what happens when you attack humanity. In the command center, Daeho pulled up tracking data on the retreating alien fleets. They're falling back to Jupiter's moons. They're going to regroup and try again. Let them try, Ji-hoon replied. We've shown them we can fight. Now we show them we can win. Prepare the fleet for offensive operations. We're taking this fight to them. Yoonji watched the celebrations beginning in the streets above. People emerging from bunkers, realizing they had survived, realizing they had won. What happens now? She asked. Ji-hoon looked at the star charts displayed on the screens. Now we hunt them down. Every single fleet. Every single ship. We show the galaxy that Earth is not prey. We're the predator they should have feared all along. The alarm screamed through the United Defense Force headquarters at exactly 3:47 a.m. Commander Ji-hoon Park was already awake, staring at the holographic display that showed 12 massive fleets surrounding Earth, like predators circling wounded prey. He had known this day would come. They all had, just not this soon. Sir, they're broadcasting on all channels, said Specialist Hana Lee, her fingers dancing across her console. Her voice was steady, but Ji-hoon could see the fear in her eyes. Everyone was afraid. They just didn't know yet that fear was exactly what humanity needed. The main screen flickered to life. 12 different alien faces appeared, each more terrifying than the last. Some had too many eyes. Others had scales or tentacles or faces that seemed to shift in ways that hurt to look at. But they all shared one expression: contempt. The largest alien spoke first. Its voice was translated by the computer, cold and mechanical. Humans of Earth, we are the Drathic Empire. We claim this world and all upon it. You have 72 hours to surrender. Comply and you will serve. Resist and you will die. Another alien pushed forward, this one covered in blue armor. The Drathic lie. We, the Vox Collective, claim Earth. Surrender to us instead. Then another voice. And another. 12 different species, all demanding the same thing. All promising slavery or death. All speaking as if humanity had already lost. Dr. Miri Choi stood beside Ji-hoon, her scientist's mind already working through the problem. They've been watching us, she said quietly. For decades at least. They know our technology, our weapons, our military strength. They think we're helpless. Good, Ji-hoon replied. He turned to face the command center where dozens of officers stared at him, waiting for orders. Send the message to all world leaders. Protocol Prometheus is now active. Captain Daeho Kim, head of the Experimental Weapons Division, smiled grimly. Finally. I was starting to think we built all those toys for nothing. Sir, Hana interrupted, the aliens are moving into position. They're establishing orbital bombardment patterns. They're not even trying to hide their tactics. They think this will be easy. Mireille pulled up a secondary screen showing alien communication channels. She had been learning their languages for months, ever since Earth's deep space sensors detected the approaching fleets. They're arguing with each other, she said. Each species wants Earth for themselves. They're competing, not cooperating. Ji-hoon nodded slowly. 12 empires, 12 massive fleets, all fighting for the same prize, and not one of them thinks we're a threat. He walked to the window overlooking the city below. Seoul was lit up in the pre-dawn darkness, millions of people sleeping, unaware that their world was about to change forever. How long until the government addresses the public? Counselor Eunji Nam is preparing the broadcast now, an aide replied. She wants to know what to tell them. Tell them the truth, Ji-hoon said. Tell them we're at war. Tell them to trust us. And tell them that humanity has been preparing for this moment since before most of them were born. Daeho moved closer, his voice low. The Kuiper Belt stations are ready. Admiral Soo-hyun Kang confirms all ships are operational and waiting for your signal. The aliens have no idea they're there. Not yet, Ji-hoon agreed. Let them think they've won. Let them bring their forces closer. The trap only works if they're all inside it. On the screens, the alien fleets continued to position themselves. Massive ships, each one large enough to carry thousands of soldiers, bristling with weapons that could turn cities to glass. Earth's defense satellites were already beginning to fail, destroyed by precise alien fire. To anyone watching, it looked like the end. Mireille's console beeped urgently. They're scanning our military installations. They're cataloging everything. Our aircraft carriers, our missile silos, our defense platforms. They're being thorough. Let them look, Ji-hoon said. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. Hana looked up from her station, confusion on her face. Sir, I don't understand. We're letting them destroy our defenses. People are going to die when they attack. Why aren't we fighting back? Ji-hoon turned to face her. The young specialist deserved an answer. They all did. In 2051, we detected an alien probe entering our solar system. It was small, barely the size of a car, and it was trying to hide. But we found it. We captured it. And we learned that we were not alone in the universe. We learned that out there, beyond our sky, were empires that would see us as slaves or resources. Nothing more. He walked back to the command console. We had a choice. We could announce it to the world, cause panic, maybe start wars over what to do, or we could prepare in secret, build weapons they wouldn't see coming, create a military force they wouldn't detect, make them think we were primitive and weak, right up until the moment we showed them the truth. Daeho picked up the story. Every space mission for the last century has had a secret purpose. Every Mars colony, every asteroid mining operation, every deep space probe. We were building shipyards where they couldn't see. We were creating weapons using technology we reverse engineered from that probe. We were getting ready for war. And now they're here, Mireille added. All of them at once, thinking this will be easy. Thinking we'll just surrender or die quickly. Ji-hoon's console lit up with incoming messages from world leaders. China, America, Europe, Africa, South America, Australia. all of them asking the same question. What do we do? He sent the same reply to each. Trust Protocol Prometheus. Hold for 72 hours. Then we show them what humanity really is. The countdown began on every screen in the command center. 72 hours until the alien invasion began. 72 hours until they would learn their mistake. Hana pulled up a new feed. Sir, civilian satellites are picking up the alien fleets. Social media is exploding. People are terrified. They should be, Ji-hoon said quietly. War is terrifying. Death is terrifying. But humanity has survived worse than this. We survived ice ages and plagues and world wars. We survived because we adapt, because we fight, and because we never, ever give up. He looked at the alien faces still displayed on the screen, still making their demands, still so confident in their superiority. They think they're apex predators coming to hunt prey. They don't realize they're walking into a trap set by the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Mireille pulled up the final piece of data that made everything clear. The probe we captured had records. Star charts, histories, tactical data. We know how these empires fight. We know their weaknesses. We've spent 100 years preparing for them specifically. And they know nothing about us, Diho finished. Nothing real anyway. They've been watching Earth, but they've only seen what we wanted them to see. Old technology. Conventional weapons. A divided world. Ji-hoon smiled for the first time since the alarms began. It was not a kind smile. In 72 hours, they attack. They'll sweep aside our defenses. They'll occupy our cities. They'll think they've won. He touched the console, sending final authorization codes to military installations across the planet and beyond. And then we'll show them what humanity does to those who try to enslave us. The aliens kept broadcasting their demands, their threats, their promises of mercy for those who submitted. None of them noticed the small changes happening across Earth's solar system. Hidden doors opening in the darkness beyond Neptune. Power signatures coming online in places their sensors said were empty. Weapons charging in the shadows. The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for the prey to walk in,